tabletop role-playing game sales, markdowns, and bundles. I've forgotten when I do that, but it's still fun. Good morning and welcome. It is about 7 o'clock in the morning here at Site B. I know it's a little early, but I got stuff to do today. I'm drinking coffee. It's the 18th day of November, 2024. Happy holidays to all of you, my fellow nerds. It is foggy, gloomy, but it looks like it might be sunny. Looks like it's going to be sunny and cold again here at Site B. How are you all doing in your neck of the wood? It's time to look at this week's sales. Remember, as always, unless it specifically says otherwise, we're just getting PDFs if we buy any of these. And of course, because we're dealing with digital media, please, before you open or download anything, run them through the sieve, run them through the virus checker, run them through the malware, because it's still a thing. And with the holidays hip-hopping along, it's the kind of thing that's going to get worse before it gets better. So, yeah, just check everything you open. In regards to giving to a charity, maybe just give the money to the charity directly. They all have websites if you want to donate, but don't want to, need 101 do-it-yourself solo role-play books of where you're a girl who wants to get transformed into a horse or whatever it is. Just skip the bundles and give the money directly to the charity, especially if that charity is Team Primetime or me. I'm a charity. Just buy my stuff. All right, let's see what Hubble Bubble has this week. Happy birthday, Pathfinder. Is it really Pathfinder? Birthday? I don't know. Maybe. Let's see what it says. Blah, 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 blah. Well, we've got a Pathfinder bundle. Looks like we have got running around $40 for the whole thing. Looks like the most reasonable one is $15. It'll get 72 items for $30. Don't see anything physical on here, so it looks like it's all PDF. We've got the brand new Pathfinder Core 2 Edition Electric Boogaloo here for part of it. We got the BMs, we got the GM score, and the beastry, and the second beastry, and the third beastry, and some adventures, and some more adventures. You'll notice that there seems to be a Haro deck, because that's something everybody's needed, and some more adventures, some bunch of adventures, some flip maps. That's kind of nice. A whole bunch of flip maps. I mean, you still have to print them out. And oh yeah, the player core rulebook, which probably should have been the first frickin' thing at the top of the page, Bundle Humble. Put the player's handbook right there, and then everything else after that, because the player's handbook is the most important. And considering this is not alphabetical, I'm not sure why you chose to run it this way, but okay. And then some more adventures, and some more adventures, a lot of adventures, a lot of maps. All right, so you get the core books and a whole bunch of adventures. So if you're looking to hop, skip, and jump your way into the world of Pathfinder, especially Pathfinder 2 Second Edition Core Rules Electric Boogaloo, now with sour cream and chips or whatever, for $30 you get everything as a PDF. That is unbelievably reasonable considering how many adventures you're getting right now. The maps, I mean, sure, I've got flip maps, but I still have to print them out, which isn't as cool as just having them. And if I need maps to put on a VTT or in a game, there are probably better maps I could use than converting a flip map to digital. I don't know how it would work. I mean, I guess each page is a part of the four corners of the flip map, and then you would print them out and tape them together. And then you'd have to flip out 4 more for this other side of the map. Then you'd have to, I guess, tape them together. I don't know. It doesn't work for me in my mind. I think there'd be better ways to get digital maps than that, especially specifically designed for the digital map media, specifically designed for VTTs. And in the course of maps, I'd either have them physical or done better. It doesn't feel like flip maps would work. But other than that, yeah, just all the adventures is more than worth it. So there's that one. Let's see what else we got at Humble Bumble this week. Here's the thing about Earthsea, cooking, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic collection, the Dragon Age comic collection. Got the Shadowrun. This is the Shadowrun one, we get the Shadowrun Legends by Catalyst Games. You've got a whole bunch of adventures for Shadowrun. This is the most recent version of Shadowrun, but tons of adventures. Looks like you get some fiction, some more fiction. So it's adventures and fiction, a whole bunch of Shadowrun books. This is a continuation of the Shadowrun literature series that they were running. So for for $30, you get 40 books. This goes to support the some charities, as always, and an adventure. So it's some adventures and a whole bunch of novels. Yes, there are Shadowrun novels. Excuse me. Moving on, we've got some comic books. Oh, the Warhammer Fantasy. That one, we got that one again this week. If you've ever been interested in the mythical land of the Warhammer Fantasy role-playing game, this is probably the best way to do it. $25 gets you 26 items. Got a whole bunch of adventures for Warhammer Fantasy, but they could also be used in any fantasy. Plus the core rulebook, which is $50, $60 on its own, so that's great. Plus some supplements for the core rulebook, the starter play set. So that's the starter box set converted to digital, which means, I don't know, I guess it has pictures of dice that you print out. It's everything that would have been the box set converted to digital. And you get a coupon for 25% off on the Crucible 7 website store thingy. So if there's a Crucible 7 product that's not on this list, you could get that. So yeah, this was nice. Look at this, 30 bucks, 25 bucks. The core rulebook alone probably cost you $50, $60, $80 physical. PDF, probably 30 bucks. So again, this is a really nice one. If you wanted to jump into the world of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, this would be the way to do it. Let's see what else is on this week. We've got a 7th Sea collection. This is from $18 for 35 items. That's, wow. This is the most recent version of the 7th Sea role-playing game by John Wick, I believe. Is that the gentleman's name? Not the guy from the movie that Keanu Reeves plays, but the guy that challenged people to a fist fight at a convention, if I remember correctly. But despite the wibbly-wobbly whatever of the creator, the game itself is supposed to be really cool. It's my favorite genre, as you know, pirates. Dinosaur Pirate Island, my favorite setting. So yeah, you get to do some pirate shenanigans. You get the rule book, you get the quick start, get a whole bunch of adventures for 7th Sea, some 7th Sea, some fiction for 7th Sea. So wow, not bad. All that for $18. Unbelievable. That's a pretty decent one. Got the G.I. Joe deck building game. G.I. Joe, we're on a deck of cards. For physical, for the highest rank, you will get set parts of the G.I. Joe deck building role play physical game. And that's all this is in this one. So this is a bundle of physical stuff. No PDFs. You sign up and they will send the stuff to you. It's $45 for 5 items. I don't know how much these cost individually, but it feels like maybe it's a discount because something like this would probably cost 15 bucks each. So 15, 30, 45. So for $45, you're getting 2 additional ones. These are all physical, so they will send them to you in the mail. If you're interested in getting into the G.I. Joe, the role-playing game, deck building game, Cobra versus G.I. Joe versus, I don't know, squirrels, this is the way to do it. And then we also have the G.I. Joe role-playing game from our friends over at Renegade. Happy with you, 10th anniversary Renegade. So for physical, you get these weird things. You get a dope Cobra dice set, Cobra dice bag, a expanded character journal. That's a book of blank pieces of paper that you could get at the 99-cent store. The Sergeant Slaughter limited edition accessory pack, the role-playing game standee pack, and then you get some core rule books PDF, and you get a whole bunch of adventures PDF, including the G.I. Joe versus Transformers versus Power Rangers. Yeah, that's the one we've always wanted to see. More adventures, more source books, bonus content. So everything you would need to start playing the G.I. Joe role-playing game, including some dice and some other physical shenanigans if you want to pay for the full thing, which is $40, or for $18, you get everything of the PDFs, but you don't get the physical stuff. So again, pretty decent. I mean, the dice alone is what, 19, 20 bucks. The dice bag alone is $5. This, these stupid folders are always unbelievably expensive. So that's probably 18 bucks right there. I think these are dumb, but some people like them. The cards, probably $15. The standees, probably $15 to $20. So there you go. That's $45 for all these, plus all the physical content. The rule book alone, we're talking 50 bucks. So that's a pretty decent PDF collection. Plus you get some freebies for the G.I. Joe tabletop role-playing game. And that's it for this week's Humble Bumbles. Let's head on over to Bumble of Holding. All right, this week of Bumble of Holding, we've got Palladium, Barcelona, Concierge of Cthulhu, Viking Verse, and Household. And that's Palladium Fantasy 2nd Edition from our friends over at Palladium. This is the 1996 version of the Palladium role-playing game. It contains everything you need to start playing Palladium, the starter rule book, some adventures, a world, and some other stuff for $18. And then for an additional $18, you get some more adventures, another campaign setting, and some other stuff, including old ones, which probably means Cthulhu. So not bad. $18 from the Palladium Fantasy from our good friends over at Palladium. The Palladium Fantasy game is pretty fun. As with all the Palladium role-playing games, great books, great setup, unbelievable amount of information, horrible editing, horrible layout. But yeah, $18. And then the Palladium Fantasy book alone is like 50 bucks. So if you've always been interested in that other role-playing game that is a D20 that isn't Dungeons and Dragons, Palladium's good. Lots of mechanics. Some people find it too overcomplicated and too clunky, but the information, the background, the world building that they do. I mean, I talk about their superhero game all the time, but the other games too, just the amount of information and research they do is amazing. The books themselves are just got great art, great layout. Unfortunately, it's a mess. Their books are a mess. They needed to be all taken apart and re-edited and done a different layout, because the layout they were in back then, at that point in time, was just a disaster. But it's a very popular system, surprisingly popular system, especially Rifts, but also Palladium Fantasy. A lot of people consider Palladium Fantasy better than D&D, who have played it. I've played it. It definitely does some stuff better than D&D at the time. Would I rate it in my top 10 games that do D20 Fantasy better? Probably not. I'm still drinking coffee. Then we got Household. Household, a role-playing game about little folk in a big house. This is a recent game. It's The Littles. It's Secret of Nim. It's, The Borrowers. It's teeny little people living in a giant-sized world. We've got the core rule book. We've got 2 source books for $15. So if you've ever wanted to do role-playing, but, instead of normal world, doing normal everyday role-playing stuff, you're super teeny-weeny inside a house / building / street / whatever, doing adventuring stuff. So instead of dungeons, you go into cabinets, I guess. The sewers under the house. The monsters are household pests, but they're, super giant size compared to you because you're an inch tall. Cinematically, it's a fun idea. Role-playing game. It's just doing what's been done, but from a different perspective. Instead of monsters and dungeons and treasure, it's household items and household animals and Instead of fighting a dragon, you'll fight the neighbor's cat. That kind of stuff. I mean, yeah, it definitely works digitally. It definitely works cinematically. It definitely works as a comic book or a book. I don't know if it works as a role-playing game because other than the quirkiness of, oh, it's everything big. I'm not going in a dungeon. I'm going in the cabinet. But it's clever. It's cute. It'll probably do okay, I guess. $15 for an entire role-playing game. Not bad. All right, moving on to Vikings. This is the Vikingverse tabletop role-playing game based upon the Demon Lord tabletop role-playing game. This is everything you need to start playing in the Vikingverse tabletop role-playing game, plus some supplements, plus a bunch of adventures. It's also got some space stuff. So one of those is a space game set in the Vikingverse universe. And it's $15 for the entire Vikingverse role-playing game. What is the Vikingverse role-playing game? I don't know, but apparently it's a thing. It's Vikings that might be in space. Or futuristic fantasy Vikings, or whatever. It's Vikings. Vikings always sell. Who doesn't love Vikings? Moving on. We got the Courtiers of Cthulhu still going on for $8. You get this entire campaign setting of pirates in the golden age of piracy, doing pirate type stuff. So think, Swashbuckler, Pirates of the Caribbean, any movie with pirates in it. But there's also Cthulhu. Just as, to add on to the already awesome fun and weirdness. So basically it's the Freeport campaign setting, because that was the whole thing about Freeport. It was a world of pirates that also happened to have Lovecraft. And then we got Branciolia, which is the Spaghetti Fantasy 5e tabletop role-playing game. For $13, you get everything that's been made so far for the Branciolia. And it is Italian fantasy. I didn't really know what Italian fantasy was, but then somebody mentioned some of the Italian fantasy movies that came out of the ending 80s, like Barcelona and Sorceress. I do remember in Deathstalker. I don't remember the Deathstalker movies. There was several fantasy films that came out in the 80s that were made by an Italian film company and filmed, in the European forests and stuff like that. And they had plenty of medieval cities in that part of the world to look fantasy-ish. So Deathstalker is probably the most well-known of the Italian fantasy genre. So this is trying to capture that 1980s Italian filmmaking fantasy universe into a role-playing game. But it's $13, so it's a decent deal. And I believe that is everything. Yes, we got the Palladium, we got Household, we got Vikings, we got Cthulhu, and we got 1980 schlocky fantasy role-playing game. Moving on to Drive-Thru this week. See what kind of sales and stuff we have over at Drive-Thru. Drive-Thru. We've got some stuff for the 1632 role-playing game, some adventures for just different settings. Like here's a whole bunch of tabletop role-playing game adventures for D20 OGL. That's a sale going on. All of them around $5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We've got some 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 different books from this company stuff, including the core rules for their fantasy setting. That's all from a company called Battlefield Press. They're all D20 OGL adventures. Then from Tabletop Adventures LLC, we've got some more system agnostic fantasy adventures. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 from that company. 9 D20 adventures, each running about $5. Then from a company called Tabletop Adventures LLC, we've got one. So it's the same company, different bundle. 1, 2. For that one, this one's all about paladins. From the Black Orifice, we've got some more D20 OGL adventures. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For the Black Orifice D20 Modern D20 Fantasy Adventures. From Innerham. Okay, Innerham, you win this week's name contest for best name. We have got some Dungeon Crawl Classic love. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 new adventures for my favorite D20 retro clone, Dungeon Crawl Classic. From Runic Tables, we've got some VTT art. We've got a couple adventures. The Raiders of the Serpent Sea campaign setting for 5th edition. That's 5th edition, not 6th edition. All about $10 to $15 for an entire adventure path. That's one still going. We got some art, some 5e, more 5e, a lot of 5e. Different companies trying to jump on the 5e role-playing game or 5e role-playing attachment. Other than that, yeah, it's everything from the last week. So the only new thing this week are the stuff from Black Orifice and the stuff from Tabletop Adventures LLC. So that's it for drive-through this week. Not much, mostly 5e. Not a lot of things for not 5e, which is always disappointing. But I guess as many people as can are jumping on that 5e nostalgia. It's unbelievable that I have to say that. It's only been 10 years, but the 5e nostalgia bandwagon. More and more game companies are looking at the disaster that is 2024 D&D or 6th edition or D&D 1 or whatever they're calling it and going, yep, no, I want nothing to do with this. And as of now, because the SRD creative content rules still haven't been printed, you can continue to make 5e adjacent product under the current wibbly wobbly legal, not the OGL, but whatever, the creative content thing that came out after the OGL scandal last year. And Wizards of the Coast didn't do anything about it unless you put it on D&D Beyond. But starting when the new thing becomes legal, anything you put on drive-through or the DM's Guild or D&D Beyond falls under the brand new 6th edition contract, which means they own everything, lock, stock, and smoking barrel. Right now, because they're making stuff for 5e 2014 D&D, not 16 2024 D&D, there's this weird little grace period where you can make 5th edition adjacent product for 2014 Dungeons & Dragons and not get in trouble. So good on them for trying to take advantage of the loophole that Wizards of the Coast has left us. That's all the PDFs. Links in the description down below. I know it's not as good as usual, but again, the guy who normally does these lists that I just copy from is still sick. So get well soon. Thank you, Ian World, for doing these scripts. As always, thank you all the companies for making these available to us so we can take a look at them every Monday. If you appreciate this content, let me know. If you never ever want to see me do this ever again, let me know. And have a great day. Stay warm, stay dry, stay safe. Happy holidays. I'll talk to you in a bit. My voice sounds weird.
News from the table in the rolling waves. Dice in our hand, we're the dungeon's brave. Adventures tonight with our mighty team. Heroes we become, living out the dream. Roll the dice, feel the thrill. Monsters we will